All right. We are live. Hopefully this is working now. Hopefully the queue is unloaded. We apologize for canceling last night. We were not able to get on appropriately. There was an issue that we were having with getting on. So we're going to let everyone be able to get their notification and come in here and show you guys. We do have the report. We do have the video. And we do have something else for you guys today. How you guys doing today?
It's a beautiful Saturday. It's nice and sunny where I'm at.
It is. It is really nice out today. I got this report and I'm loading it now so we can get this on. Let's see here. Keys. How you doing, Keys?
Good afternoon or good morning, depending on the coast, the region.
We have the report for the jail today. We have the video. Is it nice where you are, Keys? Yeah, it's noon by me too.
I'm the only one still in mourning.
You are. You are the only one still in mourning. We are not in mourning. Hello, Pamela. Yeah, you're the only one still in mourning. We're on different coast time than you, so nice and sunny today. Yeah. Maybe I need to get out, but I had to come share this report in this video with you guys. We did get the report on the conditions of the jail, as we had shared with you guys a couple of videos ago. They had launched an investigation into the conditions of the jail, as several people had lost their life within the jail. And I know we had covered some photos when we were touching base on the jail. Well, the Senate came back yesterday. Thank you, Keys. We apologize for canceling last night. We had so many technical difficulties. We gave up. It had been a long week, a long day, and I said, we have to schedule this for tomorrow afternoon. So the Senate came back yesterday and they had recommendations, and they had looked into everything with the jail. And I'm going to go ahead and play this video for you guys to show you what was said. And then I was able to get the copy of the report. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on. It's very short. And they were not playing no games. All right, let me present this to you guys really quick. Can you gotta mute?
Yes.
Is that yours or is that mine?
Mine.
All right. Candy, your thing is on. Can you mute your video? Or is
You
that
said my
mine?
what is on? I didn't hear you.
I'm sorry, that must be mine.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. All right. I'm gonna replay it for you guys.
Community and state. Please pray for his children and family, for his fiance.
Can you see it?
For his community?
Yeah.
For their department as they shook him.
Guys.
Before we begin today, I want to begin by remembering our fallen officers. We've lost our 5th law enforcement officer this year. Deputy Brandon Cunningham with the Paulding County Sheriff's Office will be laid to rest this afternoon, who gave the last full measure of devotion to his community and state. Please pray for his children and family, for for his fiance, for his community, and for their department as they struggle with this unimaginable loss. And as we are here this morning, Deputy Taylor Bristow from the Carroll County Sheriff's Office is right up the road at Grady Hospital battling for his life. It has never been more difficult to serve as a first responder and specifically a law enforcement officer. And in Georgia, we unapologetically back the blue and support the men and women who serve us in uniform. Today, we are here, though, to talk about the findings for the Fulton County Jail Subcommittee. You've gotten a copy of the draft report, and the reason why it is a draft report is because due to our Senate rules, when we return to legislative session in January, we will formally adopt that report. However, we didn't want any more time to lapse, so the recommendations that were put together could be enacted and further steps of remediation could take place. Let's begin by the reason why we formed this committee. Back last year, we all watched with great concern at some of the tragedies that had been unfolding at the Fulton County Jail. Senator Robertson and I went and visited the jail and made sure that what we were seeing on the news matched some of the concerns that were actually in the jail itself. I want to make sure we clarify, as we have in the past, that jails are not prisons. They are very different. When someone is arrested and booked into the jail, those crimes, they are actually innocent until proven guilty by our system of government. The Georgia Senate was listening to constituents, to people that were involved directly and indirectly with that, and we wanted to take a heads-on approach in investigating and solving this major concern. As a Fulton County resident myself, I've had the honor to serve for the past 14 years, and I shared the concerns of my fellow citizens, elected leaders, and we wanted to have something done as quick as possible. With that, I assigned a public safety subcommittee to complete a deep dive investigation into the issues, root causes, and most importantly, the solutions. I want to thank Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, who supported us and appointed 2 ex officio members of the committee to complete this very important task. And I want to take a moment to talk about these committee members and why they were so important. First, Senator Tim Bearden, who served on the committee, has a background as a law enforcement officer and was also the director of the Georgia Public Safety Training Center in his past. Senator Chuck Payne, who served for over 3 decades as a juvenile probation officer, and he chairs our Veterans and Homeland Security Committee. I served as a member of this committee. And we had 2 ex officio members, Senator Sonia Halpern, who's the chair of the Fulton County Senate delegation, and Senator Brian Strickland, who is the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee. And perhaps most importantly, the majority whip of the state Senate, Senator Randy Robertson, who serves as the vice chairman of the Senate Public Safety Committee and was gracious enough to be the chairman of this important subcommittee. There is no one more qualified in the entire Georgia Capitol than Senator Robertson. As a retired major from the Muskogee County Sheriff's Office, he's actually operated a jail before, and a very large one. He's very talented, has an extraordinary detailed approach. And with his experience and the way he put this committee together, I knew it would be a success from the moment we started. Since the first meeting last fall, there are 1,000 less inmates in the Fulton County Jail. Let me say that again. Since we began meeting last fall, there are over 1,000 less inmates in the Fulton County Jail. This is very measurable and substantial progress that needs to be reported. It's important to note that no sheriff in the state of Georgia can control the population of his or her jail. That is exclusively from moving through the process of the judiciary and prosecution. I'm proud of the comprehensive 17 recommendations that you have in front of you right now to continue the improvement and ultimately to solve this issue permanently. But one of the recommendations, which I believe is perhaps the most important, is the relationship, the professionalism, and teamwork between the four areas that will ultimately solve this problem, which is the county commission, the district attorney, the judges, and the sheriff. Working together in concert, in teamwork, with a professional front will be the first step into solving any problem, no matter be in government or anywhere else. At this time, I'm going to turn this over to Senator Robertson, who will give you an update of the findings that you see before you. When we're done, we'll take a few questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Albers, and I'm going to be very brief. You each have a copy of the draft report in front of you, and we're more than prepared to answer any questions that you may have in relation to the 17 recommendations. As Chairman Albers said, he and I had the opportunity to tour the Fulton County Jail, and I want to start off by thanking the sheriff and his staff for being very accommodating. There was not a single door that we were not allowed to walk through. We walked into some of the nicest parts of the Fulton County Jail, and if you've never been in a jail, take my word for it, there are nice parts. And we walked through some of the parts that were the not quite as nice. We walked amongst the individuals there charged with lesser nonviolent crimes, and we walked amongst those who were charged with the most violent crimes. And the fear of a jail should not exist, because what it holds are other citizens of our community. And what we found is we walked through the jail, and no matter who we engaged with, no matter what they were charged with, or no matter what the job assignment was of those personnel of the Fulton County Sheriff's Office, we received full cooperation while we were there. I had somebody ask me what the jail looked like. I worked in a large jail. I guess it depends on what your definition of pretty is. But when we walked through the jail, the Fulton County Jail looked like a jail. It was very clean, but it was not attractive because they have to maintain that building with a full staff and full population of citizens 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And so while trying to maintain something, keeping something polished, keeping something clean with a small city operating within the walls is somewhat difficult. But I do want to thank the sheriff and his team for cooperating. I want to thank the county commission. I want to thank the district attorney's office, and I want to thank the Fulton County Judiciary for being responsive and coming to our committee, sitting in the chair and answering the questions. I think the importance of a study committee is to do what you're supposed to do that is in the title, and that is study. That is to look at. We're not there to drag any soul to the top of Golgotha and crucify them. We were to find out facts and determine what needed to be done or what could be done by the state legislature, or to notify the county commission, the judiciary, the sheriff, or the district attorney's office, things that we realized based on testimony that were either successes or failures within the Fulton County Jail. And at the age of 22, I started in law enforcement, and in the sheriff's office I started out in, or that I did my entire 30-year career in, everybody starts out in the county jail. I walked in at midnight one night wearing a new uniform and a pair of penny loafers because I didn't know what kind of shoes you were supposed to wear in a county jail. And I'll go ahead and tell you, penny loafers are not the kind of shoes you want to wear in a county jail. But I received an education at the age of 22 while the frontal lobe of my brain was still developing by working in a county jail. I saw some of the most tragic things I'd ever seen in my life. I saw individuals that took their lives. I saw men and women who made terrible choices in their life, and I had to serve those individuals while I was in there while keeping myself and my fellow officers safe. And it was an education I will be thankful for forever. But as we went through this committee process, what I found is that a county jail is a county jail is a county jail. We have them throughout the state of Georgia. And as unique as Atlanta and Fulton County likes to think it is, their county jail has the same issues that every county jail in the state of Georgia has. And the primary issue I think you'll see in the recommendations is the dysfunction that exists between county agencies, the same dysfunction at times that exists between state agencies when individuals forget who the boss is. And the boss is the man and woman in the car today driving around Atlanta, driving from home to work, who pay taxes,
Hmm.
who want to live in a safe community where when individuals violate the law, they are arrested according to the Georgia and United States Constitution. They are detained in their local county jail until they can post bond or until they can have their case adjudicated. And for that to work properly, the sheriff has to get along with the county commission, who has to get along with the judiciary, who has to get along with the district attorney. And each one of those individuals must do their job the way they are required to do their job, the way the law says they must do their job. And it is no longer an argument that I am a constitutional officer as to why things aren't done. We had full cooperation from every agency involved, but what we found is that there are breakdowns in the system. And when I'm talking about the system, I'm talking about in the judiciary, in the district attorney's office primarily. The sheriff's responsibility, and I am not going to lessen the power nor responsibility of a sheriff's office, but the sheriff's responsibility is to operate in a building that he or she does not own and taking care of an at-risk population that has shown in the past, the vast majority, that they have no respect for the rules and no respect for other individuals' properties. And he is to do that based on the rules laid out by the Georgia Constitution and the United States Constitution. And if he is not provided or she is not provided with the proper funding or equipment, then he or she cannot do their job. The Fulton County Commission, as every other county commission's job, is to fund a county jail and to provide the necessary resources needed to maintain it up to a constitutional level. For the Fulton County Commission and any other county commission in the state of Georgia to do that, they must have a working relationship and full cooperation, and they must be allowed to keep their eyes on every tax penny that goes into that jail each and every day. And what we have discovered in Fulton County, it doesn't always work that way. The sheriff, the county commission, the district attorney, and the judges must work together. In the courts, we have found that the Fulton County court system, based on the testimony we heard, is not working at 100%. That is unacceptable. It's unacceptable primarily because of the individuals being held in the Fulton County jails, rights to due process, and rights to a system that does not allow them to languish in a county jail. The judiciary must take responsibility for it, and they must correct it. And what we've discovered in the district attorney's office is dysfunction to where cases are being moved entirely too slow. There are no efforts that we saw being made to expedite beyond the normal process. This must be changed. Again, when a man or woman is arrested and placed into a county jail, even if they post bond and get out or stay in the county jail, they have a right to a due process system that does not cause them any harm outside of the requirements of the Georgia Constitution and the United States Constitution. So to sum it up, there's plenty of blame to go around. When we first walked into this, it seemed like all the focus was in one direction. I hope as you read through this report, and I hope if you have any questions, that we'll be able to show you that that was not the only place that needed to be looked at when it comes to the Fulton County Jail. And some of the things that some individuals felt was the most important thing going on in the Fulton County Jail happen on every street, every block, and in many of the homes here in Fulton County and around the state of Georgia every day. The Fulton County Jail just happens to be a place where it's all bottled up, and it seems to get more attention than those other places. And I would personally like to see the attention spread out equally everywhere to take a look at, so that we as a community and we as a General Assembly can solve some of these problems. And again, I can't thank Chairman Albers enough for the confidence he placed in me. Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones for the confidence he placed in this subcommittee. And I look forward to answering any questions you have today. And we look forward to the next challenge, which will start at 9 o'clock this morning. So thank you.
Do you think that the county should build a new jail or fix what we have?
I think that is up to the sheriff and the county commissioners to do their homework and to work with what they believe is the right answer and what the taxpayers expect of them.
And if I could add, I think it has to be based on data. It has to be based on facts. The subject matter expert in the room today is the Fulton County Sheriff, where he can tell you how many individuals in his jail are there and are suffering from particular issues, whether it's mental health issues and other things, and to determine if a reformed county jail as it exists, say Rice Street, if they're able to build to accommodate for that population. But if they're not able to build to accommodate for that, then I think probably the option would be a brand new facility to accommodate.
Let me add one more thing to that before we take the next question. You will see in this report that we're calling on the city of Atlanta to immediately turn over the entire Atlanta Detention Center to the county. Fulton County taxpayers paid for that facility and building. Anyone that thinks that that's going to become a community center one day, I think is seriously on a wrong track right now. It was designed and built to be a jail, and having a newer building and facility that can be leveraged to the fullest extent, not just partially as today, is certainly part of the right answer. And I'm confident that my friends down at City Hall will do the right thing. Yes, sir.
Do you foresee any general or local laws that you're going to try to pass in the next session based off this report, and what might those be?
As we continue to move forward, including a new study committee that's going to start here just in a short amount of time, I believe we're going to take the aggregate of all that information and then determine what needs to be done from a state level. Most of the things that you will see in this report are operational things that can be done by folks working together and getting things done as we would normally run a business. But at this time, I think it's a bit too early to tell of how we're going to come out to the 2025 legislative session.
You mentioned 9 o'clock, the real work begins. What is the next step with all of this? These recommendations are out?
Well, no, not 9 o'clock is our next study committee on Georgia Department of Corrections, which walks hand in hand with our county jails, because Georgia Department of Corrections has a huge responsibility to help alleviate some of the overcrowding of some of the most dangerous once their cases are adjudicated. So, but the real work here in this report rests with some of the men and women in this room. For them to look at this and to go ahead and look, the process has already started. We've already seen where some relationships have come to light, to where individuals with the same mission in mind are starting to partner up and try to solve some of these problems. And Fulton County is blessed with some very strong and professional public safety individuals and some very dedicated and intelligent commission members. And I think these men and women are smart enough to be able to sit around a table and realize that their obligation is not to each other as much as it is to the population of Fulton County.
Yes, sir.
How do you square applauding a reduction in the jail population with the passage of SB 63, which would increase the jail population, increase the number of people who are going to be held?
How has 63 increased the jail population?
Well, on the one hand, you're applauding a reduction in the jail population in Fulton County. On the other hand, the legislature has passed a bill that is going to increase.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what data you're using to say that 63 is going to increase jail population, because when 63 was written, a lot of the research that was found was discovered that it did not increase the jail population. What it actually did was decrease crime. But how you marry up the two, the reason there is a reduction right now, I would argue, is because the system has started getting more efficient. Because during the testimony in this committee, it became very apparent early on that there was dysfunction in the systems that were being driven by personalities and not by software or anything else. And people started actually focusing more, doing their jobs. And actually they were doing this after 63's original legislation had already done what you're talking about. And what you're talking about is bail bond reform, correct? Yes, sir.
So are y'all saying that you think that this decrease in the jail population is due to this study committee and the fact that you embarrassed these people?
No, we certainly didn't say that, but I believe, like anything else, when you put a little sunshine on something, it tends to get people to look at things differently. And I think you've seen the courts working with weekend court and night courts and moving cases a lot faster than they have in the past. I think you've seen the same from the district attorney's office. This is never an intent to embarrass someone. The purpose of this was to get to the root cause of the problem. But as we stand here, there are 1,000 less people in the Fulton County Jail. And that is measurable, it is substantial, and it is worth reporting on.
We've got time for one more question, guys.
Yes, ma'am.
Senator, we saw news earlier this week about contraband smuggling inside Fulton County Jail. Are you hopeful that these recommendations can help prevent similar issues in the future?
Contraband in any jail or prison is an ongoing battle and challenge. That will never change. The issues we've had at the Fulton County Jail was built to be a single bunked facility, which very shortly became double bunked and then became overcrowded. In order to manage and maintain and hold security when something is already 2 and 2.5 times more the capacity was designed to do, makes the prevalence of weapons and other contraband certainly more capable than they would be in other areas. But this is a challenge we face throughout every jail, throughout every prison, and not just here in Georgia. It's happening across the nation. And by using new tools, new technology, better processes, we hope to continue to curb that as much as possible. As Senator Robertson mentioned, you have to remember that inside a jail and inside a prison are either someone who has been arrested and or now fully convicted of breaking the law. These are folks that do not follow the rules, then a lot of times have very violent tendencies. And we need to do everything possible to keep, first and foremost, the people who are operating that jail safe, as well as everyone else who is inside it. I think we're going to wrap up at this point. Thank you all so much for coming today. We appreciate it. And I'm sure we'll be able to talk to a few folks after this press conference is over. Have a wonderful day.
There you have it, folks, on that one. And so they did put the report out. The report we did get a copy of, and I will put that up for you guys now, of what their recommendations are and what they said it had to be. Here it goes. Senate Office of Policy and Legislative Analysis. Draft summary of recommendations of the Senate Public Safety Subcommittee on the Fulton County Jail. And it has the members that completed the study. Senator Randy Robertson, he is chair from District 29. Senator John Albers from District 56, Senator Sonia Halpern from 39, and Senator Brian Strickland, he is from District 17, Senator Chuck Payne from District 54, and Senator Tim Bearden from District 30. The Fulton County Jail Subcommittee was created as a subcommittee of the Senate Committee on Public Safety, chaired by Senator John Albers of the 56. The subcommittee was tasked with reviewing the Fulton County Jail. Senator Randy Robertson of the 29th served as chair. The other Senate members were Senator John Albers of the 56th, Senator Sonia Halpern of the 39th, Brian Strickland of the 17th, Chuck Payne of the 54th, and Tom Bearden of the 30th. The subcommittee met 7 times beginning in 2023 through 2024. The first meeting was held on November 2nd, 2023. It was an introductory meeting that discussed the purpose and plans for this subcommittee. Meeting 2 was held on December 14th, 2023. It focused on the population breakdown of the Fulton County jail system. Meeting 3 was held on January 24th, 2024. It focused on the district attorney's office and their budget and personnel numbers. Meeting 4 was held on February 14th, 2024, excuse me, which covered how judicial procedures impact the Fulton County jail system and the judiciary process, including the court system's procedures. Meeting 5 was held on April 29th, 2024. It focused on the administration of the courts, the public defender's office, and healthcare within the jail system. Additionally, this meeting covered the process utilized by judicial circuits that are short-staffed when they apply to expand their circuit. Moreover, the meeting's presenters explained the issues they face with short staff and provided insight into possible solutions to improve their efficiency. Meeting 6 was held on May 7th, 2024. It provided detailed overview of the various funding areas, as well as information regarding staffing needs for the Fulton County Sheriff's Office. Meeting 7 was held on May 10th, 2024, which consisted of public testimony related to the findings and reflections from the previous subcommittee meetings. The 17 recommendations that we just heard are right here. Draft findings and recommendations based upon the testimony, research presented, and information received. The Fulton County Jail Subcommittee recommends that, number 1, the Fulton County Commission oversee all tax money allocated for the construction of a new Fulton County jail or for the renovation of existing facilities. You guys will see why that was said, because they asked for no oversight. Number 2, the City of Atlanta immediately transferred the Atlanta Detention Center to Fulton County to be used for addressing Fulton County needs for safer confinement of detainees awaiting adjudication of criminal cases. Number 3, Fulton County partner with the Georgia Sheriff Association and employ a third-party jail expert to oversee any jail construction, renovation, and consolidation. Number 4, the Fulton County Commission employ a maintenance team of skilled plumbers, electricians, high-vac technicians, and general upkeep experts that are assigned solely to the Fulton County Jail. Number 5, the Fulton County Commission establish a Fulton County Jail Advisory Board that will consist of individuals representing the Fulton County Commission, Fulton County Sheriff's Office, Fulton County District Attorney's Office, Fulton County Clerk of Courts, and the Fulton County Superior Court. Number 6, the Fulton County Commission established policies and procedures that apply to any organization wishing to offer program services inside the criminal justice system within Fulton County. These policies must include a verification of tax status, a monthly auditing tool, and a breakdown of how taxpayer money is allocated within the nonprofit. Keep number 6 in mind, guys, too. Number 7, the Fulton County Commission established a task force to identify any duplication of services, technology, and staffing within the Fulton County criminal justice system, which ought to include any services provided by the Fulton County Sheriff's Office and the Atlanta Police Department. Number 8, all natural and unnatural deaths that occur inside the Fulton County Jail be reported and investigated in the same manner as any death that occurs within Fulton County. That's very important, guys. Number 9, any Fulton County Superior Court judges, all Fulton County Superior Court judges carry full dockets. We do have the docket for you guys to see which judges and how many caseloads they actually had. We'll show that too. The Fulton County Clerk of Superior Court established policies and procedures that track all felony cases from arrest to adjudication. That's very important for what we see going on in trial right now. that can generate monthly reports to be viewed by all agencies within the Fulton County criminal justice system, along with the elected members of the Fulton County Commission. Number 11, the Fulton County District Attorney Office and the Office of the Public Defender establish policies and procedures that allow all nonviolent and non-sexual offenses to be expedited within the Fulton County Judicial Circuit. Number 12, the Atlanta Police Department provide all evidence gathered in felony cases submitted to the Fulton County District Attorney's Office for prosecution without the requirement of an open records request. And the Fulton County Sheriff's Office and the Fulton County District Attorney's Office establish policies and procedures related to requests for proposals that include involving the Fulton County Finance Department as advisors in selecting contractors for special needs and services not specifically provided for or requested in their annual budgets. 14, the public and private relationships between the county commissioner and sheriff has been tenuous, unprofessional, and not the conduct the citizens should expect. Weekly professional meetings should take place to improve the relationship. Trust and spirit of teamwork to solve problems. The county commission should work with the sheriff to benchmark best practices and industry standards to create and pass a transparent and responsible budget. Once passed, provide oversight and not micromanage of the budget or operation of the sheriff. The current workload of the Atlanta Circuit is not completely reported, with Superior Court judges delegating duties to other courts of inquiry or senior Superior Court judges. This practice should show the court's actual performance. An audit of the court and best practices should be implemented from a people, process, and technology perspective. Number 17, the Fulton DA should conduct an audit from a third-party expert to streamline people, process, and outdated technology to expedite the process with the courts to adjudicate cases. Y'all heard it. Y'all heard it right there. Y'all seen it. Y'all heard it. And what you guys are going to see, let me show you guys the docket really quick because you guys are going to be interested. Tall Glass says 17 sounds good, but will that happen? So you got to remember their recommendation. They are to turn it over to the county. And so the county implements, these are the recommendations that they are looking at because they found serious breakdowns. And you heard it right there. Primarily with the DA's office. So it lets you know that the breakdown is substantial. And what they're seeing, and when you go in to when you're getting out, it doesn't work that way. The breakdown of the Fulton County Sheriff's Office budget, they have a total budget of $142.7 million. 99 million is to go to personnel. 43.7 million is for operating expenses. 64.6 million is for the jail unit. Of the jail unit money, 28.4 million goes to jail personnel and 36.24 million goes to operating. So there's a lot of funds. And when they did their numbers, there was 293 stabbings, 377 fights, 922 inmate-on-inmate assaults, 68 assaults on staff, and fires, 1,186 shanks, and 133 cell phones. That is what they had at that moment. That is what they had. So let me show you guys the docket, which was very interesting. Let me show you this. I'm going to show you guys this docket right here. Here is the docket that they had closed out with for last year, in which they're stating that the numbers are low. So it was really interesting to see that there is a lot to be had there, but the biggest part was to turn it over. And so what is you heard said it's been driven by personalities and not by software, technology, or and you heard what he said. They don't own that building. Those taxpayers paid for that building and own that building. And they didn't want that building no more. They wanted a new building built, and they wanted to turn that one into a community center. And you heard it right there, that whoever had that in mind is seriously on the wrong track. And remind you that jail is not that old. It was built in the 80s, and there's jails that are operating right now, hundreds of years old, that don't look like that. So they're saying that they're not implementing and they're not following what they're supposed to. And because you have the title is not going to allow any further. So having to turn it over is a really big deal, because the same ones that are sitting in there, they will have the authority to keep them or not. And so they're not going to allow it. And so the primary blame you've heard is the DA's office. Why aren't the cases getting moved along? We talked about this earlier in the week, because all the courts are held up in RICOs. No one can get in and expedited, and the judges' dockets are way, way far beneath what they have sitting in that jail. Those numbers don't even equal to 50% of what they were housed with. So they're left there, as in their exact words, to languish. And that's exactly what we have that is going on. We have pretrial detainees that are in there that are there for a couple years. They had reported that one inmate, longest time and still reported there, is 10 years. 10 years. So numbers don't lie, and you heard that it's the relationship. So Mr. Pitts, mind you, has been in seat for years on top of years. He's in decade status now. The only thing new to that county in those seats is the sheriff, Mr. Labatt, and the district attorney, Mrs. Willis. And if you can have that much severe of a breakdown and the commissioner is giving money, last year alone, he invested 13.3 million for repairs. He invested another 3.2 million for elevators, fire alarms, and kitchen equipment. Think of those numbers. So, of course, they're going to come in and have all of these questions because this is very serious. And you can't keep going to the commissioner to say, we need more money. We need more money. You heard on several of those recommendations, there needs to be record keeping, there needs to be audits. There is no personally hire who you want anymore. It needs to go. The finance department has to have oversight, and they need a board, and they have to have an outside committee. On top of, you have to turn it over. So they're saying you guys are not fit to keep the citizens safe here. They're treated as if they're already guilty. The building is going tore down. There's no reason that all of this money is being poured in, and there's no accountability. And then all the overtime paid out and all the money being dumped in to foundations, that was there. The sheriff is being investigated. It was on the news for transferring funds into his wife's foundation. It's all accountability. I'm going to show you guys a picture of them because you couldn't see the whole team. It's a team of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'm going to drop that for you guys. And guess what? They're all Republicans. Every last one of them. So this is a really big deal here to say, you know what? Okay. Yep. We looked into this. We seen, here's our recommendations. And there's no relationship, the job is being driven by personality. So what does that tell you? And the only 2 new people to this table, or the 3 new people to this table, is Glanville as a chief judge, Mrs. Willis as the DA, and Pat Labatt as the sheriff. County Commissioner Pitts had been there long before their career started. So if he's held seat continuously and has been in the interest of his county, and he's running into all of these issues with 3 new people that have been in, we can see where that lays now. So with that coming out and that being said, there should be a move, and there should be a lot more that we're going to see child-based, because they have to free up these courtrooms. There's not an option anymore. Nobody can run the show because they have the seat anymore. Tall Glass says, when did that public meeting get held? Got to keep on top of those. So what I do have is a link for you guys. I'm going to share that right with you guys so you guys can see that. And you are absolutely, absolutely right. And I'm going to show you exactly where you guys can go and how you tune in. I'm going to show you right now. Here it is, folks. This is the entire schedule that will give you. And we are on the 24th of this month. They just had one. They had actually a couple last week, but they did have the Safe Firearms Storage Study Committee. I did do that one. And there is the Department of Corrections Facility Study. That happened on Friday. That was yesterday morning, and that is what we seen. They basically took it to press, but if you want to watch inside of there, you may go right to that link and it will show up, and it has what's left for the month and then what is coming up for the next month. And then anyone can tune in by video. And so the one from yesterday is right here. They haven't dropped the video back to it. See the video link? So they did. Okay, there it goes. And it says it hasn't started yet because they haven't uploaded it. So that is where you guys go for that. And it gives you every single thing. And if you guys are in a different state or somewhere and you guys are looking for where, just drop your state. And then when you guys are back on with us, I can give you your schedule and give you where you go for your state or your county. So that way you guys know how to get involved within your county, your state. But for Georgia, that is where it's all at. And so you guys have that. And you guys seen, this is about time, right? It's been a very long wait, and I'm glad that they were able to see that these things are not reconcilable. They're really, really not. It does need to be turned over to the county so the county can run it as they need to be able to keep people safe and be able to account for the money and to make sure that the repairs are going in, because these repairs going in is going to help the inmates be in safer conditions and not have to be in those type of conditions. And you won't have letters going out from inmates begging for help. They're being eaten alive by bed bugs. You won't have people that you find dead in cells that you don't know if it's self-harm or they've been harmed. But the big part on that recommendation, they said that all deaths must be investigated as the same of Fulton County as if you're on the outside. Now, the rest of Georgia has to adhere to that. And they're saying that Atlanta, because you say Atlanta, is the main place, the rest of Georgia gets washed out. And so I 100% agree that your issues are no different from a neighboring county's issues because they house inmates too. There's repairs that need to be done, but it just shows you right there that it makes a difference on who is sitting there doing the job. You heard it straight out their mouths. It is not being driven by anything else but personality. Says, I wonder what the battle looks like, written response on a meeting. Well, they're very good because you see testimony from people. You see anyone can petition. You can petition to your senator. You can ask to, you can help, write a bill with them so they can push it up if it's something that you're passionate on and you know how to do it. I went over those steps the other day to make sure that people are involved and people are, held accountable when people die in that manner, that in numbers. But you see how much money is coming into this. So there is so much heat that is coming right now, and investigations are starting to conclude. So my message a couple days ago, y'all, I gave the message a couple days ago that they had to clean it up. very fast, very, very fast, because it's no longer going to work. They have put a stop to it. They're done with it. They've looked into it. And now you have the DOJ doing theirs. And that should be back. They estimated by at the beginning of next week, the conclusion should be there. So there's a lot of heat going to that district attorney's office. So you need to give bonds. You need to give bonds, and you need to free up those courtrooms, and you need to get everybody in. No more languishing around, no more keeping them as long as you want to. It says it right there in the recommendation. There has to even be an audit that all judicial personnel can track from when they're arrested to when they're released and what the holdup is. So they have oversight of that. Help is on the way. Help is on the way. And then you have a bigger entity with the DOJ coming in that's going to conclude. And they're not always as friendly as the Senate. The Senate's like, okay, I found all these things, but the biggest one, you must turn it over. Says, shouldn't I have a more emergency response because of people that haven't even been to court yet? Yes, so putting that into place, that's exactly what they had in there. So they said that it has to be moved along and they have to be able to get together. But as you heard on there, that yesterday morning was the start of implementing what has to happen. So we should have weekly updates on where that is, because they're announcing what they're going to do to make it change. Yes, Tall Glass, they did say more judges are needed, but the issue that they're having, that the judges are there, don't work all day. The commissioner, has to take note of what judges are there for the day and when they've come or when they left. And as the commissioner said in one of his interviews, he said that they will work to a little bit early afternoon and golf the rest of the day. And it's unacceptable because, like I said, as they're living their life, a good life, a paid life, a good paid life, have a lot of freedom, come to work. You can leave when you want. You can cancel courts when you want. As we seen with Glanville. Glanville was on his time. A 5-minute break could be 2 hours, and that's just what it was. That could be a whole round of golf. Literally. So there's going to be a lot. I'm sure Mrs. Willis is going to be around that table all day yesterday, all evening, or either Monday morning, that you just can't. We are not allowed to do it like this no more. The tactics are not allowed anymore. But all of this stuff coming out and showing all of this to the public and the citizens and the taxpayers, they had it exactly right. They don't own that building. The taxpayers do. Y'all paid for that. And y'all pay for the repairs. And y'all will pay for another building. It's y'all that keep paying. You should be outraged because at the end of the day, you're the boss. I don't think people understand how powerful their voices really are when you get involved the right way and bring the team with you and you do it the legal way. It has to be purpose. It has to be legally. You have to have the documentation. You have to have the paperwork with it. You have to do it the right way. And when you do it the right way, they don't have a choice but to listen because it's coming from the people, which is AKA the boss. Many people don't look at it that way. They didn't know, or they didn't have enough resources or knowledge or be taught that to exactly how to get involved and to make sure their voice counts. You can protest all day, every single day, and it will not make a difference. You have to have the paperwork. You have to have the paperwork in numbers, and you have to do it correctly to make a difference. Because that's when the senators move. You know what? We need to put this together. We need to send this up. So it's a process to everything, but I got a clip for you guys that shows you guys the exact relationship that they were they were talking about, that shows you exactly how AKA personalities drive this. And I need you guys to see this because it was very disturbing to see. And I know we had talked about it earlier in the week, but we didn't, we didn't see the actual footage of that. I'm going to show you this. What do you think, Can, on what we're seeing here now that it has weighed in?
Well, what I think in regards to this whole situation, I do love the fact what the senator said, Alberts, that the sheriffs, they do not control the jail. And you cannot hold anyone in the jail because, one, it's not a prison, and two, these people have not been proven guilty. So the jail is just a detainment center, or I'm sorry, detainment location where you're innocent until proven guilty. And I thought I heard that the person who's had the longest stay was 13 years in that jail.
10 years.
Unless 20?
Yeah, 10 years was the longest inmate that has been in the facility. And as they started their investigation, they were still there. And they said when they concluded their investigation, they were still there.
And that just makes no sense to me. Because like he said, that is just exclusively to move through the process of the judiciary system. So,
and then you have to remember they didn't want the oversight of it. And so they're saying, no, that's exactly what is going to take place. There has to be oversight. There has to be oversight. Here goes a clip for y'all that demonstrates the relationship in how you speak to the commissioners that are before you. Mind you, this is who is funding some things, not all things, because remember, you get funding on a state level, a county level, and through grants. So as getting it from the commissioners, which are huge amounts that we went over, this is how they have gone in there to request this. And this is exactly what I meant on professionalism. And this was just right on YouTube.
Jackpots, you never know when one will go. So many
Jackpots.
So many.
Download and get a 100% deposit match up to $1,000. BetMGM Casino.
I heard of ORCA. What does the acronym stand for? Can somebody?
I actually learned the other day after you asked me that question that ORCA is actually not an acronym. It's what they have referred to for this COVID backlog. ORCA, and I can't make this up, is a big whale. I guess they thought because this is a big problem, they would call it that. I didn't make it up, but we need those funds.
Okay. Okay. And so, Mr. County Manager, Madam CFO and COO, can you speak to this funding and what is the situation with this $2.46 million that the DA is saying she was supposed to receive? Is she going to receive it? Is there I mean, explain if you can, please.
And I would ask you ask another question if respectfully.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd ask that the chart that was sent by your representatives at those rates and those positions, if we are actually going to get that, or if we're going to keep going through this song and dance.
I don't know of a chart, so you're going to have to tell us about that because I don't know about a chart. I haven't received. Has anyone on this board received a chart of positions or something?
I'm sure they're aware of the chart.
Oh, disrespectful.
Is there a chart, Mr. County Manager, that she's talking about that you can share with us?
I'm not sure exactly what chart she's referring to, but as we presented today, the budget for the court backlog reduction is now at 75 million versus 61. So it is fully allocated in terms of the resources that we have from the American Rescue Act. So now, I guess from a does she get it, I'll turn to Sharon, but now the process is that it's fully funded, the positions are allocated, and she has the ability to hire. But let me defer to Sharon.
Is this the sheet that you're speaking of that's coming?
Yes, Vice Chair Hall, that is the chart. These are the positions. Those were the rates of pay we were told that was agreed upon. As you see, it is in writing, and I just want to make sure that it is honored because I did 2 transactions and already there were problems.
So who told you that this was approved? Because I don't see, I'm looking for the county manager, the chief financial officer, and the COO at least to be on here, and Hakeem, our director of finance, but I don't see any of them on here. On this email, it's coming directly from Shay Alexander, who isn't Shay still just a contractor?
Yes.
So she told you that this was approved?
Yes, we met with Mr. Adams and Ms. Alexander. We did that for months. We wrote out the positions. They met not only with my office, they met with every justice partner. We worked out the things, and then we were sent that this is the list of how you are to do things. And so then we began to do things in that order. And as I told you, transaction 1 and 2, problems already. And so those immediate 1 and 2 have been resolved, but I can't do that for transactions. I've heard you all today talk about hiring for different projects. And what I have to tell you is I've been hiring for the last 6 months, and every time it is difficult. And so I want to assure that what we said was going to be done is going to be done the way it was outlined for us.
Mr. County Manager, did you know about this document that was given to the DA and said it was approved?
Yes, ma'am. We met with the DA and discussed it with her recently. I think it was Friday.
Okay, and so it was approved then?
Well, fundamentally what the disconnect, I guess, if you will, was Shay, and don't let me speak for you, where did Alton go? But Shay and Alton were working with all the justice partners to outline the plan for court backlog reduction. When this document was put together, to the best of my knowledge, and you can look at this and somewhat surmise this, these salaries are rounded numbers: 75,000, 53,000, 80,000.
Rounded
not
numbers.
Precise numbers. So as the DA went forward to hire based on this, which was essentially a consultant working document from Shay Alexander, as it so happened, the first 2 that went forward did not have a good coordination with HR, and an offer was made to two people that's slightly above the authorized salary grade, the higher limit of the salary grade. So we did have to get together and either do one of two things, change the offer letter back to the lower number, which I don't remember, Ken, exactly what the number was, but let's say $15 less. It was an absurdly small number, or change the position title to a higher title. And that was the decision that we collectively made.
And so are you currently working on moving forward with completing this list of hires?
Yes. So, and let me ask Sharon to speak to the plan that we gave to the DA that I think will facilitate not only better working, but elimination of any miscues.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Vice Chair Hall, the one thing that we, after the meeting with the district attorney, we have the HR staff reviewing the list to validate that the grades and the salary ranges all are in line with what our grades and salary ranges are, and that we don't have any more issues relative to that process. We've also shared with the DA from a procedures perspective, the time frame and the timeline for offers to be made, to make sure that the offer letter itself is reviewed by HR to ensure that it has all the correct language, since these are going to be time limited positions, and that the title and the grade and the salary on the letter all agree to what's in the list. And so there were a few, I think, issues that needed to be corrected on the list, which HR and Shay Alexander and the finance department have been working on the last couple of days. It's not just the list for the district attorney. They're reviewing the entire list of all 300 plus positions for the backlog project in general, just to make sure that we don't have any other issues pop up like this. The DA just happened to be out in front on this. So we are trying to work through these issues and get her where she needs to be relative to continuing to move forward. The positions are staggered by month. And in addition to these positions, we also are working with the DA so that she can utilize her salary savings that she's accrued this year to be able to hire some additional temporary positions through the end of the year to help meet part of the need that she identified in.
They're literally laughing.
And so, Commissioner Hall, I want to say a couple of things right there. My brother in crime said, "Hey, they told me they
Her
were
brother in crime.
salary savings." I said, "They told me the same thing too." Till I had the
She has no decorum.
County Manager Anderson in the parking lot and told him that when I spoke to the commissioners, they all said that wasn't right, Commissioner, from the mighty District 6. And so after I can get to you, then things change. And so I won't speak because I want the sheriff to be able to utilize some of my time and speak. And I want to make sure you know that this is the struggle that we are going through. And quite frankly, Commissioner Hall, I've told this, I don't say anything behind someone's back. I don't say to their face. And what I have told your county manager, your employee, is I don't have the bandwidth anymore for these games. I need to get to the business of solving crime. And I believe the sheriff wants to address you.
She needed that money to put towards that RICO case.
I won't do everything in proper order. Let me be clear. First of all, thank you, Madam DA. And I said this repeatedly, we got the baddest DA in the country.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed.
When he says bad, does he mean worse, literally?
So I didn't just come up here to be cute. And this vest is for a reason, because I had a county commissioner say that sometimes sheriffs talk big. So I don't play one on TV. I am the sheriff of Fulton County. I'll be on the street tonight fighting crime. Yeah. We started putting people on the street long before tonight working with APD, working with Georgia State Patrol, creating a Scorpion team that's gonna fight crime. I told Madam GA, we're gonna fill your desk up. We're gonna fight crime and we're going after these bad guys. Some of y'all thought I was playing. I don't have a fancy PowerPoint. I will ask for permission to be on the next board meeting. Can y'all put that in whatever the 28-day cycle is? Because when I first started, I said, I learned that I had to be 40 days ahead of the conversation to even come speak to y'all. See, I'm not used to that.
What?
Let me back up and say thank y'all. Thank you for coming to visit. Thank you for having the conversations. Thank you for the $6.8 million. Let me be clear that I had to get 4 votes on, right? I can do the math. Only to find out later, it wasn't a pay raise, it was a salary adjustment. Let me be clear. We are underpaid and overworked. I had 15 people in the last 30 days leave the Fulton County Jail as detention officers to go work somewhere else. I text you every time I see Sandy Springs offering $7,000 to come work for us and a $3,000 relocation fee. Cobb County offering $5,000 and a $2,000 relocation fee. It's a tough time to be in law enforcement.
Wow.
But each and every one of you call me when you're going up Bankhead Highway and it's nothing but ATVs blocking the street. But I can't get a Bearcat after I go through the process. Mr. Davis, thank you, I appreciate that, of playing you all's games in finance, because that's all they are. Everybody wants to move the goalpost when we get to the end. It ain't your money. It's been approved here, and I'm going to spend it accordingly. And the next time, Ms. Whitmore, and I've sent you emails, and I appreciate you responding eventually. And let me be clear. When I sign my name as the sheriff, which one of y'all, when you sign something on your staff, write a check, Ms. Whitmore and her team rejects? Because we just haven't done it that way. When I work a deal to get a Bearcat so that I don't have an MRAP breakdown on Georgia 400 on the way to a SWAT call where a guy has been charged with killing 28 people. Ends up killing himself. My MRAP sitting on the side of the road. But I put a plan together, following the rules. Mr. County Manager, I appreciate it. We have a relationship. That's what this county's not used to. We talk 2-3 times a week. We talk, and I appreciate that. But what we have is a bad culture. And we need to figure out how to fix it. When I signed something, I was elected to do it. I'm gonna manage my budget, I promise you. But don't tell me that these salary savings I can't use to do other things proactively. When I've heard for 2 years, I ran for 2 years, and what you heard was the sheriff just didn't really come to the board. He didn't talk. I would encourage you to understand this, and this is not you all's fault. Let me be clear, because as I've churned and overturned Plymouth Rock, what I found is the rock landed on you. You didn't land on Plymouth Rock. And so what you were getting was bad information. And so when I come to you and tell you that I got a K-9 unit, that in the middle of a search, the unit goes bad, we got to borrow one from Clayton County because it doesn't have air conditioning. My dogs deserve better. When I tell you, and again, thank you, I appreciate the conversations around the jail. And I appreciate the passion in which the county commission has said to the city, we got to do better. And we will. And we absolutely will. But let me tell you about the equipment. I ordered rifles the SWAT team hadn't had in years. And somewhere along the process, be it my folks, be it finance, we ordered $90,000 worth of rifles, the best equipment you can get. Oh, I'm sorry. Somebody in finance said we had to send the sights out for the rifle. Let me put that in. You look through a sight to make sure you can hit the target down range. But because of our processes, 30 days later, the sites are approved. And guess what? They're approved by the same vendor. We have a flawed culture. It is time we fix it. And if you don't believe we're out here fighting crime, come meet me in Metropolitan tonight, right? You don't believe we're out here fighting crime, meet me out at Fulton Industrial. We put the necessary resources in place, but it's like pulling teeth. It is absolutely absurd. I do want to give a shout out to the county attorney and her team. The 11th Circuit ruled in our favor today. Hopefully you can give the board some update on that, because it's good news about how we treat people.
Oh.
See, I didn't just get in here to walk around. We are going to handle our business. I am going to bring you the facts. And Commissioner Hausman, I appreciate you asking for the facts. But we are going to bring you what you need in the next board meeting, right? That will show you that we are $20 to $30 million understaffed if you want to have a true sheriff's office in your county. We are partnering with all 15 cities to include colleges to get the best training we can get to give our citizens what they need and deserve. See, what I come to learn is that you being plural in many instances, didn't understand the breadth and aspect of what the sheriff's office actually does on a daily basis. I appreciate the additional conversations so that we can, but now we're 6 months in. The education is gone and we need your help. So I wasn't privy, and I appreciate Alton and Shay in the conversations around this rescue money. But when I said I needed 50 deputies and it comes back on that chart that I'm getting 15, somebody didn't hear me. Or the allocation of funds simply was not done appropriately. I don't get it. I come from good government. And I'll tell you publicly what I've said. The city's behind five years behind the rest of the world, and the county's 10 years behind that. You don't get it because you breathe rarefied air, right? Everything you get in here from this board over, right, outside personal meetings is, yes, Commissioner. Yes, Commissioner. This is what we'll do to fix it, Commissioner. And so we thought it, my sister and I thought it our duty to give you what we honestly said we were going to give you from the beginning of taking office, is the hard facts, the truth. I appreciate the time. I do indeed. I appreciate you taking my call, Commissioner Hall, every time. I appreciate Chairman, every meeting we have. No one has not been responsive to the call. It's time to vote. It's time to put the rubber on the road. It is time to invest in public safety, and not just on the telephone. It is time for us to really show the citizens of Fulton County what a sheriff's officer can be, what a DA's office can be, if properly resourced. It's simple as that. It's simple as that. And so while the notion was, not notion, the facts were, we didn't get a chance to transition. But you didn't either believe in us when we said the fat meat was greasy, or
what did he say? The fat meat was
test of time.
greasy.
We're 6 months in. And it is time for us to look beyond where we are. I was so happy the other day, I printed it off, I sent it to your office, and I'll make sure everybody has a copy when the president said we can use this rescue money to fight crime. Let me give you an example of what this looks like. Look at the largest sheriff's office in the Southeast. We use these things that we call tag readers. We mount them to cars, $17,000 a piece, right? But a whole setup. We have the sum total of one vehicle. that can read tags. And it's broken down. So when I work with Joe, when I work with director to put together the equipment I needed, we got women and men out here protecting the best we can, and we're not resourcing them. You heard the DA early on, and you mentioned it, Madam Commissioner, about vests, right? I got vests that are expiring. The expiration date long gone.
But his
And maybe
look
some of
brand
y'all
new,
thought this was a show,
not
but I
worn.
can't go to a funeral because of a vest. I refuse to. And maybe it's a culture that you just were not informed. I don't know what the answer is. But what you will get is transparency. What you will get is honesty. But we need somewhere along the lines, Mr. County Manager, the understanding that when the DA and the sheriff, we're elected just like you, right? See, some of y'all are confused, and maybe this is for the audience, because every time you say sheriff's department, the hair on the back of my neck stands up. I don't run a department. I run the sheriff's office. And it's insulting to say otherwise. So I say that to say, here's the good news in all of this. We're on the way up. We're on the way up. We don't have nowhere else to go but up. Let me be clear. Let me be clear with my choices, right? But the DA laid it out for you. My heart breaks every time you see someone get killed in Fulton County. But let me take it a step further, and I'm gonna wrap this up. I got a secondary phone. That phone is tied into 911. That 911 system goes off every night. Every night. In Atlanta alone, and DA can give you the rest of the 14 cities. In Atlanta alone, somebody's either shot or stabbed, carjacked or robbed. Every night.
And in your jail.
Or traffic. Every night. Every night. And we have an obligation to do better. We took a duty, we took an oath to do better. And we want to be good partners in doing it. But I'm afraid sometimes you all don't get the whole story. And so we thought it necessary to come and have that conversation. And so I'm going to get out the way of my
Thank
sister.
you, Mr.
And
Sheriff.
I certainly appreciate
So
it.
Commissioner Hall, because I know
Yes.
you said you like receipts. See, I've been watching you all day.
Yes, ma'am.
When the DA has an assistant chief, Clark, stand up, please.
Y'all, this is how they're
That
closing out
spends
right here.
1,000+ hours and 28 meetings to try to get an evidence facility straight, to do the architect, to work with who are supposed to be our partners, and does it along with 1,000 hours with the sheriff and also the attendance of 28 meetings. And we are guaranteed to be on this agenda for the 14th, because if we don't get this facility, cases are going to get overturned. And then no one even gives us the respect to call and say it's not on the agenda, we're not going to deal with it. Although when I met with Commissioner Morris and Commissioner Hall and Commissioner Hausman, they all said, but you told us about this in January. Exactly. And since January, we've been doing the work. See, if my people treat any one of you like this, this is what they can each tell you. They're going to be fired that day. I'll deal with the consequences later. So I'm asking you to get your staff together so me and my brother can stop being treated like this.
I'm so sorry because I didn't see anything about an evidence facility on this agenda,
You're the one
nor
that told me.
any, I told you I didn't see anything. I didn't know anything about it. And so I just want to make sure that I get all my answers. I did hear Madam CFO say that the salary savings that you have would be used, that you will be able to use them. And I just want to make sure this amount on here is correct. Is
Look at Mr. Pitt.
$641,000 in salary savings.
He like, I
Madam
wish she'd
CFO?
stop.
We calculated
Here it goes.
617 for the salary
I'll take the
savings.
617 because I was told I can't use anything.
All right, so 617 it is, going once, going twice. All right,
Wow.
and so you're gonna move forward with these positions to help the district attorney try these cases, because I heard you loud and clear when you said that over 1,000 people could bond out and get back in the streets, and these are serious crimes. These are not just, I jaywalked, I spit on the ground, I'm loitering. These are serious crimes, and I don't want to see not one of those people get released out just because we didn't do what we needed to do financially for your office. That makes no sense whatsoever.
Commissioner Hall, I would ask with my brother that I could be on the next agenda so that the other pot that I want to deal with, because we have been strictly told that money is for COVID, and it's all right because I have enough to do with COVID, that we can ask for the other 2.5 that I referenced in the PowerPoint to deal with the rest of the cases. And so I would ask to be on your agenda.
So let me ask that Alton never came back. Well, let me ask this question, Mr. County Manager. In the COVID-19 plan that we just passed, it says that there's a court case backlog line item, but it only is speaking to cases. Is there, can we add a line that specifically addresses these areas for the sheriff and and Madam DA? And can someone confirm if we can use, whether or not we can use ARPA funds for what they're looking for? Because as I stated in the last meeting in June, reading the ARPA website information, it said specifically that President Joe Biden set aside these funds that can be used toward law enforcement and can be used toward preventing violence and funding peace. So I would like to see that you go back and add a line for these things and let us know what can we fund through ARPA so that we can at least have something to move forward.
Commissioner Harrington.
I would love to hear Mr. Herman and Ms. Whitmore why they are.
So that's really it, guys. His voice is not able to be heard at the end. So there you have it. I mean, that is not anywhere professional that you're going to go in there and request these funds. But I want to bring something to your attention as you guys just watch this all for yourself. You did hear them say they didn't know they had to be on an agenda to speak. Now, I just want to tell everyone out there who is not involved in any type of political or with anything within their county to know that when you're a city official and you take oath, you know about these meetings and you know the rules and the regulations of these meetings. You know that you have to be on the docket to speak.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, us citizens know that. We're able to speak as well. So to not have that information and you're coming to the end of your term, you heard Mr. Labatt say, I didn't know I had to be on a docket just to speak. You're a city official. How did you not know that? You took oath January 1st, 2021. Your term ends December 31st of this year if you don't get voted again. If you're not elected, how are you just now finding this out several years into your term? And for Madam DA to say, I didn't know. You have to request it in order for it to get on the agenda. You have to request it, but as an official sworn in, you know that. So it makes no sense. So where have y'all been?
Their act is just to try to say that either they were blackballed from getting the information that they needed to get on via the docket, or they're just trying to intimidate. That's
Well,
her tactic.
well, you heard
They're just
what
because they're loud doesn't mean you're always heard.
the
You're just making
the
a lot
loud
of
didn't
noise.
work. You heard what she
Exactly.
said. You heard what Madam Commissioner said. She said disrespectful. She said that was disrespectful. But not only that, you're upset because the finance department says these are all rounded numbers. Y'all have to understand in your first seat, your first term, no
Absolutely.
funding from state, county, or grants. That will not be tolerated.
No, you can't estimate. That's why they have to give an aggregated report. You do
So when they're
your
asking the website, of course, it says right in the rules that you supply that. There's a line for that. Where did you look to get this equipment? And then you're talking about my dog deserves better for air conditioning.
Yeah.
Sir, you have humans dying in your jail. So you mean to tell me out of your $143 million annual that you manage, Mr. Labat, and extra funds being pulled from different areas, like the commissioner giving an extra 13.3 million for repairs and an extra 3.2 million for there, and then on top of it, you just heard additional 6.17, additional 2.5, and additionally can possibly pull from ARPA funds. If you guys don't know what ARPA funds are, it's basically a state fiscal recovery fund. And so it's for all emergencies, every single emergency that you can think of. It's a $350 billion funding that goes to emergencies within your state. And if some need to be allocated in an emergency, then that is how you do it. And then you're talking about air conditioning and equipment breaking down. Sir, my daddy could fix that air conditioning for $100. You mean to tell me out of these millions of dollars, nobody has serviced this equipment? Nobody has checked this out? Poor planning gives everyone piss poor performance. There's plenty enough money. The jail shouldn't be that way. The equipment shouldn't be that way. This is your first seat. You are just now inquiring to speak to the commission in front of the commission who's been funding you all this time, and you don't even know how to go on an agenda? And your DA doesn't either?
I don't believe it.
And you guys submit financial records all rounded up, and you heard what they said, higher than normal. So you mean to say this department that has to deny these things coming through, you're upset with them because they're doing their job? They can't approve that. You have to understand, there has been people before you that has done it correctly. They know the numbers don't come that way. But shame on you for going in there thinking that the tactic of being angry was going to get the message across. You still have to have a level of professionalism. This is nowhere near professional. And I do not blame the commissioner for saying that that's disrespectful. You have to speak to people in a way that you want to be spoken to. And she was speaking at them. There is no decorum. But there's nobody to fault but your guys yourselves. This is not new news. of how it works to get before them. And this is why I seriously think that before people can get roles like this, they need to serve their community on some type of political level to know how to accurately deal with the type of funding and how to do it appropriately. Or if you're going to put them into seat, then they must learn it the month that they get in. And just because you sent it over does not mean you don't want no questions asked. You put your signature on that line. It will never work that way. That city is no different from every other city within Georgia that has to follow the law, the rules, the fiscal rules, the financial rules, and to properly oversee the budgets. These items that need repair, there's money that has been placed within there to make necessary changes. They have to see it. They have to see it, but the oversight needs to happen. No, to fight for that lack of oversight is insane. Will you give anyone millions of dollars and say, well, do as you see fit? They need decorum training. So when you've seen the Senate come out with the Senate committee come out that was in charge of looking into the jail, you see why he said that it's driven by personality and not software, not facts, not any of that, because that is what you see. And that is how you see a DA and a sheriff address council and commissioners. And on top of that, they got an extra side, the county was given with extra $150 million, and it was to help with the city. 75 of that went to them. Start adding up all these numbers, people. You guys are paying them.
Yeah.
You guys are paying them. Start adding up all these numbers. And so these repairs that he's talking about, how many repairs can you make with $13.3 million, guys, into any building or any equipment? That amount of money, they could have all new engines, all new everything, but you're allowing the air conditioner to be out and you're placing dogs in there, and that's a big worry. That's a small fee that is within your funds of fixing. But when's the last time?
That's why they need to show their reconciliation report.
Daily maintenance.
They have not showed any reconciliation in regards to the repairs.
So why does fire engines and ambulance have to have daily walkarounds with reports? Why do all the fluids have to be checked daily? Everything has to go on a report for funding. For funding. So you mean to tell me that as a sheriff's office, no one's doing daily routine check maintenance? You're just throwing them out there on the street? And no wonder why they're breaking down. Anything's going to break down that you don't take care of. It is crazy. This is really, really crazy. And then to get additional, to see if you can get additional ARPA funds. Now you see why they have stepped in and say this needs to be turned over to the county. Now you see. You can get away with it for an amount of time, but it does not last long. It does not last long when you go in there with that attitude and you go in there with rounded up numbers, no websites attached to verify those numbers. Every penny has to be accounted for. It's not anyone's in that room. So the person signing for it, it has to be accounted for on another level. the person receiving it has double amount of accountability. It will never change. It has been like that from the start of politics and it will go like that to the end of politics, because it's not small amounts of money.
Mhm.
Ayana, that's one of the commissioners, but her voice is like that all the time. She does that and she will turn around and give a flat denial. She hears everyone out very fairly, but she does not play. And she's not for the games, and she makes sure that resources are there. But as you heard her say, we need a line for this. We're going to need a line for that. I know all about fundings and grants. All about it. I allocated them. I know about them. And you have to account for every single penny, and you must be spot on. And if you are not spot on, you will not get a signature and you will not get approval. And if you get away with getting it that time, good luck spinning the block to get it done another time, because the accountability comes 3 times more. It's the level of disrespect. And that is what you call bullying. You can't bully your way with individuals that are seasoned in that seat, that know exactly what it takes, because they have been there long before you. And you guys are both in your first seat, and they're having all these problems. They have never recommended for them for that jail to be turned over, and for that to happen under their watch shows their oversight. You cannot walk in there and say, we need them funds. You heard the first thing that they said up there at that commission, them sitting in them chairs. They said, wow. You think they're used to that? They're not going to accept that. They're not going to accept that on any way, and it shouldn't be tolerated on any level. And I don't blame the Senate committee coming out and saying that this is driven by personality. It absolutely is. And now that they're saying the judges must carry full dockets, that's not an option anymore. You're going to have to golf on the weekend. You're going to have to do whatever you do on the weekend, because the oversight and the games and the antics and everything, it's game over. It is game over. And all of the ones that are lined up right there, they are Republicans. And guess who's running up against Republicans? Courtney Kramer is heading and going against Mrs. Willis. Courtney has heavy hitters supporting her, of the city, the county, and the state. Heavy hitters. That's money for campaigning. That's money to get them to the polls. Exactly, Tall Glass. That lady don't play when she has to go through HR of the finance. Everything's got to go through HR. Nobody is no different. They are no different from any other county or any other state or county. Accountability and money within your power in your hand has to be accounted for down to the penny. It might seem, I'll tell you from experience on how it's released, you kind of do think, oh, there's basically no oversight once they release it. But trust, it comes back. It comes back. And when it does, You have to have it all lined up. So it is very, 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 very interesting. And now that, you know, they've come to the conclusion yesterday, and their conclusion is it just needs to be turned over. We're going to make all these recommendations. We're going to work through this, but you can guarantee they're going to work to make sure that they're not in seat anymore. It don't happen coincidental that this is wrapping up right before election time. They've had it. It's all fun and games. It's all fun and games. But it is no fun when the rabbit got the gun. So you might have walked that walk for a couple years, because everybody knows that at a higher level, things take time, months, and a year and a half in order to make a dent. And if this just came about last year and just coming to a head this year, and there's still more to come, and DOJ even has their opening of the investigation, what do you think's next? I can rest assured y'all gonna see a civil suit. I see it already. I see it already. And you could probably plan for that to drop by next month, latest October. It's a very tight spot. And then what didn't help is when the housing authority fell apart right there. Oh, that didn't help a darn thing. And it's about money. And you got all those folks working up in there. They want to talk now. They want to come out. They want to say what's happening. And they have. And they ran right to the people that are going to help them. New changes are on the horizon. Y'all are the boss. They said it right. They said it right. They were not playing. They didn't come to play no games. And on that committee that we had seen, I'm going to tell you I don't want to be disrespectful and say the little short guy, but Senator John Elbers, the one that had not the so gray hair that was speaking, he's no joke. He is no joke. He says what he means, and he means what he says. And the other one, Governor Burt Jones. So now you got all of them. You got all of them now. Now they're all together. They're working in tandem, and they're shining light on this, and they're saying that this is enough. People are out here really trying to fight to live with these inflation costs, and this money is just keep on coming out of taxpayers. Just keep on coming. All this money and all these resources and pulling from all these grants, all these funds. And there's already so much that has been granted from the commissioner's office. He has been generous. Follow his numbers, y'all. Follow his numbers. He's been generous, but not the way that they want. Because even when he signs it, it's still got to go to the finance department. And whatever they push through, they can say, It's airtight right now, baby. Airtight. So with all these recommendations in, that office has to do something different come this week. because they already announced at the end of the meeting that their work is already begun, and that new committee that they are forming was being formed yesterday morning. I've already seen it happen before in another county, and they come in, and then after that, you see other stuff come in, and then you see lawsuits. I've watched this before, not in Georgia, but in another state. And I had a position that I was helping in, and they were explaining along the way. And I said, oh, something's coming, something's coming. I feel it, I feel it. And sure enough, and I am seeing the repeat on this. This ain't stopping here, folks. It ain't no couple recommendations and then they're gone up on their way. It does not work like that. It's going to be really, really hard. It's going to be really, really hard. But the best thing that can happen is they go ahead and go over, they review their dockets. They start assigning judge the full dockets where judges are working all day. You get those cases in, you get them out. Everybody who is awaiting or can't afford bond, that is part of the problem. These judges are not reaching. They are not ordering reachable bonds for any of these folks within there, because there is a message to be sent by the one who is prosecuting that there is no tolerance that's going to happen when you come here. And they're saying absolutely not, because everybody in there is considered innocent. That is not a prison. So it's on its way, y'all. It's on its way. And now you've seen all this, and you've seen all this money and all the taxpayers and what's going in and all of that. Now you want to see the YSL trial. Tearing taxpayer money up every single day that it happens and paying to house them this long, when you could have all these folks at home on a monitor, an ankle bracelet. I wouldn't dare set that price to the county. When you know better, you do better. And then the district attorney is able to have that meeting with the chief judge to say, you must give it to the rest of your judges. There's a certain criteria that you are supposed to follow when you make bonds. Gang charges, drug charges, non-sexual, non-violence are the ones that they said need to be expedited immediately. But the 1,000 that they were talking about that's been processed, have they truly been processed? Because you have to remember, they pay $11.3 million to the neighboring county, Cobb County, to house. Not only that, they lease 700 beds from the Atlanta City Detention Center. But they can't even use half of them because there's not enough employees, but they lease those beds. They still have to pay for 700 beds there. You still have to pay for your cells that you're leasing over there in Cobb. This all taxpayer. You have to make it make sense, and you have to make it make sense for the people, not just for your job, but not only that, you have others that are above you that holds that money accountable for what is in your hand. The best thing I could tell you is to clean it up, and with the type of heavy hitters that everybody's saying, I've heard so many back and forth. Well, how do we know Courtney Kramer is going to do right? Well, how you know it's going to be what it is now? Because it can't get no worse. But there's rules to follow. And had she played it by the rules, She could have grabbed it every single which way because there's ways to do it. There's ways to have more funding. It's about paperwork proper. And then too, really shame on y'all for being city officials and not even being a part of them meetings, because it all starts there. You must be present. You must be present. But if you're just saying what is the procedure to be able to go there and speak like they just did, and you're coming to the end of your term and you've been in seat since January 1st of 2021, systematically, or is that individually? Because the system has been the same. You do better when you know better, but if you fail to learn or you fail to follow the rules, then there's consequences for it. As an official, I didn't take the oath, you did. It's accountability. And as a DA, even how busy you are, they don't meet every single day. You can afford taking a day out of your month to go sit there. And if they have an emergency meeting, you can spend 2, 4 or 5 meetings a month is what they hold, and not all 4 or 5 is going to apply to the area that you need. 1 to 2 maybe. And you mean to tell me that you don't have that time, but you have time to dig cold cases. You have time to do all of that. I just need you to make it make sense on a political level. Whatever you have to do your job, but you have to remember this is the biggest part of your job. And without that, you can't function the right way up in there. So no wonder why they came in and said primarily it's on the DA's office. It's being driven by personality. Yes. Changes have to be made. There's not a choice. It's a demand now. That community center that was within their hearts, that they, when he said seriously on the wrong track, seriously, you got to take care of what you need. So you mean to tell me $3.2 million couldn't fix those elevators, fire alarms, and get you some kitchen equipment? I told you I did a whole proposal on that jail that includes brand new bunks, floorings, desks, and toilets. And I'm going to tell you, it's not even, it won't even hurt the budget. Because the more you get, the more discount you get. And you have to do it right. You have to shop around. And guess what? These beds are pick proof. You pick them, you won't have a bed. You can't get anything concealed into the new beds that they make now. They have overflow beds that are stationary. You bring them in. The same company has those. Nobody knows if Kramer's going to do better, because everybody that gets into politics, they say what they need in order for them to get in seat. Well, what y'all have is results of what somebody has been in seat. And if someone is born and raised and still living there, of course she's going to try to clean up the community that she's still sitting her behind in. Ain't none of them living there. Y'all didn't grow up there. There's no history at heart there. But for me, I'm going to trust somebody who's still up in it. I'm going to trust somebody who never left. Regardless of what the experience is, you had enough to be up in the White House. And can't just anybody walk up in there. I could go through the credentials for y'all just to volunteer. So to have a position, there's got to be some type of knowledge somewhere. But it's all about relationships, professionalism, and following what you have to follow the political policies. We can't change them unless you go through that process I went through, that I had talked to you about previously. I won't go down that whole thing now, but I put it out there for you guys. I even dropped the link for y'all. It's one or two ways. Either stick with what you have and deal with the consequences, and the money keep on being sucked out of y'all, or you trust someone new and see what they can do. There's no other option. There's no other option. But I'm going to tell you, ain't no way. All this money floating around being, my city couldn't get half of this. And we had it shining down to the floor. We couldn't get half of this approved. It's all about how you do it. You have to have a plan. You got to have somebody on the back end that strictly does that. That is strictly looking at equipment, doing bargains, getting quotes. The more you get, the bigger percentage you get them the companies you want. You want to look at sturdability. But what's the biggest one? Price. You want to get a high quality for a lower price. There's a company out there to do it. You have to do your homework. Can't get upset if they're saying, what site you get this from? Because you guys turned it in a report that had rounded numbers. What financial department has ever seen rounded up numbers to say, yeah, I bought this, it was 50,000? No, we should see a number 48,126 and 17 cents. That's what they got to see. And guess what? Got to attach the receipt. Got to have the receipt. I did politics, guys, years ago, full force, 100%. And I'm telling you, they kept on trying to make me run higher, 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 higher. And I said, I can't. Because at the end of the day, you have to, it's an all day thing. It doesn't end. It's an all day thing for constant improvements. And it would keep me up at night knowing that I'm waiting on this and there was people waiting and conditions. And I wanted to fix everything right away. So when you take these positions, you have to be ready. You have to be prepared. And I wasn't no prosecutor. I wasn't no sheriff. I worked on the side of approving it, letting them funds go. But I see where the problem is for them. You can't take somebody's money and just spend it accordingly how you see fit and think that there's no ramification because it was released. I knew someone that did that. And, well, we write him from time to time. Check on him, see if he's okay. If he needs commissary. Can't play with money when it's coming from the county, the state, the government. Can't play with that type of money. You play with money that comes from the outside. You can't play with that type of money without ramification. And trust me, you can think that $1,000 is a little small amount out there and you might drop it to a place that you may want to, but trust, honey, that will come back. And you see it did. You see it did. They are on Mr. Labatt right now about his wife's consulting firm. conflict of interest and hiring people that are related, I'm going to tell you, is the biggest red flag for any type of money. They will stop it in its tracks and they will do a full-on investigation. And if they unwrap anything else, they will automatically say, everything has to have it to come back. Every piece has to make sense. You guys don't know who's going to do, you guys don't know if she's going to clean it up and do better. But I think we've seen enough through the actions of the courts. Somebody's driving that. Love and Hilton ain't calling them shots up in that office. I can tell you that. And as much as you think, I'm going to keep fighting them, I'm going to keep fighting them, they're going to fight you with them votes. But any place is better than where y'all are at. And if someone was trying to advise her and she went against it, then shame on her. But if she didn't know, now she does. But if I were in a position receiving millions of dollars in, I would be dang on sure I know exactly where it needs to go, how much of it can go to what area and what percent, and what area needs to be reserved for an emergency fund. It's all about part of planning, because when you have a solid plan and you have solid numbers and you know exactly how to prioritize the bad first and go down the line, and you request as you need, but you can show the work that has already been done, they'll do whatever you want. You can't keep on coming back with this is broke, and then you add up all the funds. You can't do that. And if you know that a trial is going to take several years and they're talking about into 2025, ain't no way the county should be paying for that. You're going to send them men home on that ankle monitor. The cost gets off of the city and it becomes the person that is on the monitor to pay that fee. Free up them resources. Look within your jail. See where bonds were set too high, that are not reachable, that are not within the criteria. There's one thing in mind. We're prosecuting all these gangs. And we're going to put it up underneath our belt. This is old. It has done nothing for the new. It has done nothing for the now. This case is not solving your today crimes. This case today ain't solving all your new hybrid gangs that are from the 13, 14, 15, and 16, and 17, and 18-year-olds. This ain't helping assist the cars that are broken into every day. This ain't assisting all the homes being broken into. This is not assisting the rape victims. This is doing nothing for 2024, for 2023, for 2022, or 2021. Everybody is suffering and every department is suffering based off of poster board. It's a poster board. When you seek justice for a win, justice is not being served. And any justice delayed is justice denied. Them men were denied day one. 4,000 sexual assault DNA kits forfeited. They're forfeited. They're done. They're gone. There's no way to prove that they've been raped by this person. If you forfeited them, what they being held for? Let them go. You ruined the test. You're going to have to put them back out there again and let another victim have to come through. Sad. Sad for a promise that was made. But you could have had a great poster board for Atlanta. You could have worked with these men. They're older now. Years older now. You think they don't care about the youth? They have children. It would have been a hand in hand. You reach one, you teach one. You love the community you're serving, you have to show the love. If you rule 100% of the time with an iron fist, you ain't going to have many followers. And you can only lead the blind for so long before they come open to what is happening. This is why I switched from the funding, and now I want to fight for the laws. And I've been doing that. I've been successful. I've helped pass education laws for the children. I have children. They're grown now, but I'm going to have plenty grandchildren. I have to think about them. I have to think about what I'm laying to help for them. Y'all have to think every single person has generations that will be attached. There's so many evidence missing from the hack. There's so many reports not done, just things being done the wrong way. Enlighten your people, lead your people with love and discipline. And they will love coming to work and do what they do. Do right by the funds. Show every single penny. Show what has been done and how you're working with the community. You stand at the podium, you come here, you will be charged to the max. That is the worst message to put out there. Because you got them afraid of you. If you can't handle your approach to even go in front of councils and commissions and senate, then you can't be fit to do that, because that job is the people's job. You got to be able to reach every single department you deal with. And that may seem like a lot, but that is a responsibility. And not one person should have the power to mess up that many lives. Because it does spin the block. It may not be in the form of a job or in the form of a vote, but it'll come through some way, somehow. And that's not for any of us to figure out. But that's what's happened when things like this occur. We watched it today. You have to make them be able, there is no suffering. Okay, that's not our decision to make anyone suffer. All we can do is apply the rules. That is it, that is all. But we have to stay disciplined. Knowledge is power. That's the people seek. The people are angry. They're angry seeing all these funds go like this. They're angry for those sexual assault victims. They're angry. They have every right to be, every right to be. There's no sympathy coming from there. And your chief, who you felt was qualified for that seat, her oath is not serious. There's no candor to the traditional system that she serves. Where is this allowed at? How is this not inhumane to the men that are sitting there? You go home every night and get in a comfortable bed with a good meal on the table. You get to go out and enjoy your family. So if you do these things that break your oath, it's okay. They do something, you break their oath as a citizen, it's not okay. But I think what people have lost sight of is when you take the oath, you have higher accountability than that citizen. And them are facts. You got all top-notch attorneys in that room and veteran district attorneys. You think all of this is not going nowhere when this is done? I would rather close out right than to close out in the manner that they're going. And she's probably seeing very, very fast that the accountability in that seat for a DA is very different than working as an ADA. It's facts, people. It's facts. And this is all stuff that everybody has a public eye to that I shared. All of y'all have access to it. Every single one of you, because you're the boss. That's why it's public. That's why it's open for y'all. Y'all are the boss. You don't go there. You don't get involved. It doesn't happen. They don't hear from you. So they're only hearing from one side. They got to hear from the other side. That's like letting employees go to work every day and the boss is never there. The boss never shows up. It's the same thing. You can't go in just focused on one area. And them courtrooms are tied up, and them judges, they're going to have full dockets and long days now. Is that going to equal crabby judges? Or unsatisfied judges? Would that lead to harsher sentencing? Or are you going to follow the diagram that it sets that you have to take their financial into consideration when setting bond? States it has to be attainable. There's a criteria that you use to set. And if that criteria is not used, or if you do something and just because you have the power to hold them, we've seen that done with Mr. Steele. He was arrested for doing his job. For doing his job for his client, he ended up in handcuffs. And as much as he's put back into his community, that is sad. You know you're in a sad place within a trial when you have a top-notch attorney that gives back to his community in every type of way on committees after committee after committee. Giving back, supporting judges, donating, supporting DAs, donating. Insane. Putting forth brought a motion in good faith. So what happens to the other side when it's not in good faith? Why is it different? That's where the Department of Justice. Y'all got me sweating. I'm sweating today. I truly am sweating right now because it's really, really sad. And the county gets it. It's going to be committee after committee that will oversee to ensure that nothing slips through the cracks. And it's really sad that you have to recommend that any death within there needs to be investigated like a death that's on the outside. That's actually written. That should not have to be told. It's actually written. It's actually a policy. One hand washes the other. The report's going to go up. It'll go up another ladder, and the other agency will also look at that report since their investigation is open and they've made that public. They've made it public. It's scary to see that it's still happening within that courtroom. And all of these things are happening behind the scenes. So I just needed y'all to take a look on the other side. Y'all know we don't do the court streaming side. We will talk about it and we will apply it, but we want to show you the political side of it because they're tied. So that's what we had to bring y'all today. We had to bring you guys that today that we were trying to bring you last night. So we apologize for that. Candy had to pick up her son. So she's listening in, but she's driving. And to make sure she's safe, she will not be clicking on and off or worrying about the screen or anything. She's just listening in from her phone while she picks up her son, just to make sure that they get to and from safely. But, you know, it's important for you guys to know every single side of it and how it works and how you guys can get involved within your community and make it better. Because as you heard, they are very clear. The Senate committee has been very clear. You know, it is not their facility. And just because you say you've taken an oath and that makes the power is not the difference. You have been signed up to do a specific job that requires you by law to do it. And so if we don't see a change this coming week, we'll talk about that. We have reached out to a certain person that we have asked to come on here and to speak to you guys and break it down a little bit further. And that will give you guys a lot more insight and, you know, help you guys get involved. I think it was Ayana or one of you guys wanted to know within your county, your state, just let me know where you guys are at and I can put you guys down so that way you guys can know. Knowledge is power. When you reach one, you teach one, you share it, and you guys can make an informed decision. We're not here to persuade anyone to the left or the right. It's about right and wrong. That is all it's about, right and wrong. There is no left, right, and how they keep making this. We're one nation. Everybody is fighting for the same thing. Don't get caught up in the election between Trump and Kamala back and forth at each other because all it is a distraction to what the facts are. dig for the facts. That small talk doesn't matter. But it's the real things that are happening, and why is it like this, and what law made it like that, and why is it harder now in society? It's just giving you guys the every single day that's happening that a lot of people don't know because they get caught up on the gossip side of it, or the behavioral side of it, or just want to bully each other. There's so much great work to be done, and stay a good person. Stay true to you. Because when you're gone, you still have a legacy left behind you have to protect. It's our duty. I don't want my grandchildren in faulty systems, in faulty schools, in corruption. It's justice for all, no matter who you are, man, woman, white, black, Mexican, Asian. It does not matter what race you are. It's your voice. It's your knowledge. We're too emotional as people and don't allow facts to come in. Absolutely, Des. Des says, need to fight for what is right now so that our children and so on lives in a better world. You are absolutely right. And it's getting worse and worse. It's getting worse and worse out here. And we can only rely on city officials, county officials, state officials, and what? The White House and the government. Those are the officials you have to rely on. It may sound like common sense, but you will be very surprised. People don't know even how to get involved, where to get involved, what they can actually do. And that's why we were very clear from day one. We are not interested to recap the trial, to talk about the people within that courtroom. We're going to talk about the law end of it and what is happening and why it shouldn't be happening, and show you guys the different segments that we have. But we're not going to tear him down as a person because of the actions, but we can ask for the accountability. We can take back the vote. We can go speak with the senators. We can go speak with the White House. We can help with the bill. You're the boss. You are the boss. Every single day when you're traveling to and from, and every time you get a check and you see how many taxes have been taken out of your overtime that you worked hard to provide food that you're overpaying for to feed your family, you're not coming in with the same amount of bags of groceries that you once were. You're paying much more just to gas up the car to get to and from work. Your baby's food has increased. Your diapers have increased. Education has increased. This is what we have. And it's at an all-time high right now. Nobody has time for all this nonsense that's going on. The world has no room for corruption. There's enough of it already. You either can make the choice, you add to it, or you help fight. And I can tell you, those young men in there have not been given due process. They have been violated every which way. And as a human being in that position, and she has the whole county, not the county, I apologize, the city, and that detention center specifically. And they've been in there for a couple years. Just as a professional, you would think we need to get them off of these taxpayer dollars. They can be monitored at home 24/7. I don't know if you guys heard Mr. Steele's proposal, but it was huge. Willing to pay for the ankle monitor, 24-hour patrol surveillance, has to have a list to enter the home at all his expense, and anyone coming in has to be searched. Where have you seen criteria like that for anyone? And that's just offered because of how many bonds were denied. You can hold someone with no bond. And we've seen right on the other RICO, same exact thing. Everybody was attainable. It's a prejudice here. And then some people are going to say, well, how can they be prejudiced? They're the same color. Judicial prejudice. I have the power to hold you, and I'm just going to talk to the chief judge because he can order it. And because I asked for it, it's going to be done. It's wrong. Because you have prime examples of the same thing happening at the same exact time. And even push that trial off the calendar and out the way to take this one in. And your team wasn't ready. They had to stall almost 11 months for a jury. And you picked the first round. As I told you guys before, justice delayed is justice denied. There will be nothing changed by that. That has been for decades, onto decades, onto decades. So it's going to be real interesting to see this week come up. It's going to be really, really interesting. And one thing that they look at is when things like this happen and you have a prime example of the differential of treatment that you can prove. These are provable facts. That's when you're able to do other things. So we're going to see. We're going to see this coming week, now that, all of this has come down and that jail has got to get cleared out. There is no way you can keep on holding and keep processing in. Crime happens every single day. Every single day. If you can't clear out the ones sitting there for the ones coming in, and you can't get them through the process because the judges are out for the day and they're just not working a full day and they're not carrying a full docket, and there's certain ones that you want to sit in there a couple years because you don't feel they deserve a bond, and they're in large numbers, you're disservicing the ones that are coming in because they're on the floor. You put them all into a cage. And if it's already overcrowded and it's already limited on space, you're going to have violence, and you're going to have an increase in violence. And you're bringing in all different ones that you don't know their background, and you are housed with a lot of mental health. It's time to work with the judges and get them ordered to a facility, a mental facility, and get them well. If they're not competent to stand trial, there's other programs you can implement and ask for. Every state has it. That was passed years ago. There's no reason. The power trip is not needed to make a difference. When you do your work with your heart on your sleeve and not your ego, and you understand that you are in the people's seat, you'll do better. And it's not to tear anybody down, but it is only facts. This is what was presented to us. We didn't ask for it. This is what was given. But you're upset you're finding shanks. But in a report, 6 months had went by. They hadn't even done a shakedown in 6 months. So they find a table full of things. I have the picture. We're going to do that on the jail episode when I upload my proposal. To show how much contraband there was. Well, more contraband comes in when you don't do those shakedowns, but why do they have to have those shanks? Because it's overcrowded. You have people in there with mental illness. Everybody has to watch their back. And now they're piled up on top of each other in a facility that needs maintenance. And as you see, they needed kitchen equipment. So what you're serving them is not even adequate. And you think that the increased violence is not going to happen. People have to protect themselves. You should not have to go in there with a mentality, the first thing I'm going to need is a shank. And where are the guards at? And you say you don't have enough because of the budget. But we went over the numbers. You can't blame a system if you're not playing by the system rules to begin with and expect a change. Just because it's a position of power doesn't mean that it gives you that entire full power. Just know that the more power you get in any position, the more politics it comes with. And those are facts, and that will never change. And just know that every single fund that you take in is a higher accountability the more you keep pulling. It becomes a high risk asset, and it will be flagged. And so you have to have your team to do better. It's a team effort. This is not just all on her, it's within that department. But we see what's happening with the department. They're stuck on to ensure that they push for this conviction. And you see where all the funds, all the money that went into this Trump trial, ridiculous. Special prosecutors, special grand juror. Why wasn't the one that is afforded to you by the legislator, why wasn't that good enough? Why did you have to hire a special one and use all those funds for that? Why isn't the one that's appointed to you that is already there when you got in seat, why weren't they good enough? Real questions from real people that know the real things. Educating the real people. That their power is far more powerful than yours. And that will go over a lot of people's heads. People's voices out here in numbers make a difference. Janelle says, I hope Steele files another motion, including this information you just mentioned, and see if Judge Whitaker will reconsider it. Well, Judge Whitaker has crossed some type of bridge somewhere a couple weeks ago that needs an eye. Judge Whitaker is finishing sentencing on how to apply certain different types of evidence and then going against it and saying why it's not okay. And then at the end saying, I'll let it in. The defeat on the lawyers' faces is really, truly sad because they've never seen this. They're used to taking a case and going in there and making sure that they are applying whatever they need to that will apply to their client to be able to fight. Nobody expects a trial by ambush. Nobody expects to have videos and evidence coming the day of or the night before and having to review all night. So you're interrupting their sleep. That's going to interrupt their performance the next day. Let's be for real. Speak on it. It's disgusting. Discovery is due by law 10 days prior to trial. You are not exempt. Your case is disorganized. And everything leads with I think and we believe. Well, the law doesn't allow you to think or believe. If you don't believe me, reread it. And you guys have heard, we believe, we think. Okay, well, I'll let it in. And to think that no one, but just angry YouTubers are watching is really, really a sad thing. It is really a sad thing, especially with all these investigations. Especially with investigations. And to even add the icing over the layer, election time's coming. You need the seats, you need the people. Now you're up against someone that has heavy hitters with her. I'd be worried. If I were her, and I know what I know, and I've seen what I've seen in my days, I would go into work on Monday morning, and it's a new day, folks. It's a new day around here. You got to lay it down within, and you need to meet with your chief judge, Mr. Glanville, and your sheriff and let them know it's a new day. It's about working relationships. It's about the community. Show where the breakdown is and fix it, apply it, and start with the people that are housed. Nobody should be sitting 3 years on fighting a trial. That should have been a speedy trial. It was requested. It wasn't honored. The law wasn't upheld. But the taxpayers are supposed to keep housing them because of your delay, your misfunctions, and the case not organized. You put your best on that case. And your best has caught having lack of candor multiple times. Brady. Introduction on opening. Mistrial should have been granted. They blew it from the beginning, ma'am. And as you've seen the things go on day after day, month after month, now year after year, nothing's changed, and now everything is coming to light. Guess who suffered? Not you. Not your team. At what point did anyone in that office have an understanding we can't keep operating this way, because there is a prime example that we did things differently right here. Same thing, same exact thing. So there's a lot to unpack. The same rules that Whitaker laid down is not the same ones that she's abiding by anymore. They have been allowed to miss deadlines. They have been allowed to introduce things that nobody's ever heard of under her. They've been allowed to let things in under I believe and we think, no facts, cumulative evidence, time after time after time again. Oh, I have this picture here. It shows all of them. I'm going to put this picture here because there was a different coat worn. I'm going to enter in this one here because, well, they had a bandana that was hanging from their back pocket. Cumulative. Nothing that proves what you're trying to prove. So that's where we are today, folks. That's where we are today. And that is the material we had tried to bring you guys last night through our difficulties. We had to erase some storage of the other videos to be able to allow to do this today for you guys. Do you guys have any questions? Does anyone want to come up and give their point of view? If anyone has anything to say, I will drop the StreamYard link in case anyone has a point of view of what we covered today. Candy should be back home soon. I'll give anyone a minute if they want to come up and cover anything, or just have any questions on this, or just have a reaction of what was presented today. You can say whatever you want to say. We don't stop you guys. We just do our presentation a certain way. And for any new ones here, we do have a petition. It is right on our page under the post. If you guys would like to circulate that petition, it is for a call of action. And that is, we have it housed right there. And it covers basically the 4 major issues of what is happening in the now. Hi, 3, 2, 1, relax. Everyone, hello. Is there anything you guys want us to see cover that we haven't so far to give you guys? I hope that you guys are finding the page educational, number 1, and allowing you guys to get a better insight on how county works, on how city works, on how state works, and the process. It's very easy for everyone to watch, what happens in court, but a lot of ones don't understand the backside. And how many of you guys believe that the county takes over the detention center, that improvement will be made with the committees and the boards and the audits of every single inmate from the time of arrest to adjudication and where they are in that process? And if there's a delay, on the reason for the delay, and allowing everyone to be able to track that. Do you guys believe it's a good move, or do you think that it's a bad move? It's never good when they come in to say, that you have to turn something over. Just so you guys know, like, those are extreme measures, like extreme measures. Like, I can tell you, any other detention center that is within the state of Georgia does not have to have that. Pamela says, I'm praying that the change will happen quickly. Good move. Yeah, I think it is going to happen rather quickly. I mean, there's a lot of hands in the pot right now that are, looking into it and seeing it. And that is exactly why I said, I'm not saying what she should do. I would definitely make some changes. The first footstep in that building, I would make some changes. And anyone that could be out there and be let out and have reachable bonds, or these gentlemen here, they're going to be fighting trial for quite some time. There is no difference from them being in there to being out if you are confined at home. Freeing up a lot of taxpayer dollars that they can totally resource to where it's used, and they can focus on what is happening in the today. We went over our very first live. I believe it was our first live. We went over actual numbers from the reports, and we see the increase. Doubled in some and tripled in the other. So we know that we can see clearly that what is happening day to day is not even a factor, because it's held up so bad. And it's really sad. They're also paying retired judges to come back. And whoever approved that or thought that was a great suggestion first needed to start with why are the ones sitting there not with a full docket? That's poor performance. If you know that you have a backlog within your jail, and you know that they have to come to you and they have to get through their judicial process, and they're not making it in time, in a lengthy time that the law says that you must make it in, and you guys are just riding over that, not by like a couple days, by like months and years. That's crazy. Go through the necessary steps for your patients that do have mental health issues. And so coming out of retirement and having to go on the bench is crazy. It's crazy. And you have capable judges in there that just are sitting without a full docket. Why would you ever want to pay someone those fees to come out of retirement and waste more money? Demand that the ones that are working there, but it has to start with the chief. You have the lowest. Lead by example. You are a chief. Your peers below you, your fellow judges, are following your lead clearly. If workload is an issue and your chief judge has the lowest caseload, the example has been set. It is very clear. It is just accountability. You wanted the job, you wanted the seat, you wanted to serve, and you wanted to serve the people. Even though it's allocated to them, it's still our tax dollars, and we are their employer, have a right to say what we expect. That is from Des. Des, you are exactly right, and that is exactly what I said earlier. Todd Glass says the chief judge bar is too low. That's the whole thing, Todd Glass. It's not his bar. The law states how he has to perform in his position and how he must produce. So the coming in whenever you want, it's going to be a hard day when they're going to be tracked from day to day. What was exactly in that report. Says they need to have full dockets and it needs to be tracked. So like I said earlier, it is no fun when the rabbit got the gun, and it is no fun when you have anyone up on the hierarchy that is coming down to say anything and to put anything extra into place. Doesn't go good, and it never ends well unless you make some serious immediate changes. And I'm going to tell you, a poster board conviction would not be one. I'd be wrapping up this so fast to say, you know what? You got to put it on your team, including yourself. You got to chalk it up. You have to chalk it up. It's a loss that you guys did not want, but it has been warranted for many, many months. You got to make something different or something move. And the first step is to get them off of your budget. Or I should say the taxpayers' budget. Nothing different is helping with them sitting there. Todd Glass says his standards are too low. He violated law with the ex parte and got recused, and his rulings remained. Why didn't everything he touched get looked at? That's fair. That's fair. But Mrs. Willis owes that courtroom because she has prosecutors that have blown the case from day one. So she has to accept that. And of course, if the Trump trial wasn't going on, she'd probably have the case herself. But since Trump was at the same time, and she's wrapped up in that, and there's already a ton of investigations into that, you guys have to remember, these investigations are different. They have the investigation about the jail, the deaths. They have the investigation about all the funds. They have the investigation onto the sheriffs. And then they have the investigations right there inside. There's a lot going on. And then you got DOJ with theirs open, which that's never good. Anytime that they stoop in to come in, either make some changes or they're going to come in and make them for you. And that's what's happening now. So to save face, and if you truly want to do better, you have to do it like now, because the clock is ticking. November is right there. And regardless how you may feel about your opponent's credentials, the big difference is she has support of higher up. And now that the people are seeing the difference and they're seeing this unfold, they're in a different place than what they were in May. There was a poll that went out on that. And just in these past 7 weeks, have they become outraged, saying, had they known all of this stuff before, they wouldn't have, the vote wouldn't even went in May. So I would be concerned. I'd be very concerned. And you got to start with your chief prosecutor too. Because the behavior that has been displayed are characteristics, which is concerning. No one should openly lie to a court in the same court that they're serving and upholding on a daily basis. If you're comfortable enough to lie to a judge and to the court to get a conviction or to get a motion ruled in your favor, you'll go any place to hit low. And that's exactly what's being looked into. And it's being displayed every day. It's already been sent up the way. They're waiting for the opportunity and just letting these things pile up and pile up and pile up. That were me, I'm going to eliminate all the risk. I'm going to eliminate all the risk, and I'm going to go ahead and do the right thing. And I'm going to build those relationships with the commission. I'm going to build that relationship. And unfortunately, yes, Mr. Labatt, you said that is your brother and you guys call each other brother and sister, and that's great. You have a great connection, but it doesn't stop there. You must have a great commission with the commissioners and the Senate. You must have a great relationship with your neighboring counties. You must have a great relationship with your governor. You must have a great relationship with your state. You need all of those people to back you. As you guys seen, Governor of Georgia and Trump have made up. He has released his endorsement. He is endorsing Trump. It's a whole different world that's going on, that's happening in Georgia right now. And Georgia is a big state for election. There's a lot of things happening right now. And my word to the DA's office is, you want the people's seat another term, you got to move fast. And I'm going to tell you, your biggest gripe is your YSL trial. It ain't even your Trump trial. Because in the Trump trial, they didn't see all of these things that have occurred that has been seen on the YSL trial. The Trump trial only aired out your personal life and funding so far. It has done nothing else. Nobody's been breaking the law in that courtroom. Nobody has been lying in the courtroom. None of those things have come up as of yet. It has just been testimony, pause, and getting your special prosecutor off the case, and now trying to get you off the case. So no real movement there to have all of the things that has occurred on your other trial. I would free them up, have them pay their way, and you got to clean it up. You got to clean it up. Because now you have ones dictating how you're going to clean it up and how you must clean it up. And they're not going to allow this to be driven by personality no more. You just can't. You just can't. People deserve better. The people deserve better, and your employees within that courthouse that show up every day with the right intention and are doing right, they deserve better. They deserve better. The woman that has come before that had got off of the funding, and all of her testimony was heartbreaking. She was trying to do the right thing by her job. How low to go staple some papers as she was doing finances. So the ones that had it right at heart to serve the people and do right, you cannot rule with an iron fist. You prosecute, yes, you have to be hard. But you have to know when to work with your people, and you have to know where to build your people, and you have to have enough decorum to go in and get on the agenda the appropriate way and be a part of those, because your voice is the biggest voice that should be had in those meetings. It's unacceptable that your sheriff is just now coming to the end of his term, that is just learning about how to get on an agenda, but he's taken a city oath. These are all city things. You have to do better. Yes, you fight crime. And yes, not everyone is a good person. And yes, there are people that need to go before the judge and have sentencing handed down to them for their actions. But what you can't do is make sure that no matter which way it is, whether it violates the law or not, to make sure you seek to make sure it's done. That is what can't happen. You have to do right, and you have to do right by the people. There's a lot of information that is out there, and there is nothing differential from the YFN trial to the YSL trial. The YFN trial was first, and it was pushed out the way so the YSL trial could come in. And guess what? That YFN trial is done. Great terms, even had bond, even had the ankle bracelet, all of the above. So when you have two things that are of the complete same, and you see two different treatments and differences, the only difference is within that office. Because the people are reading the exact same things. Overact, overact, overact. So you have to make it make sense as a person of power with that much power. And you have to understand that bringing them both at the same time with two different, very differential treatments is very eye-opening to the nation. And as much as everyone wants to fault Love and Hilton, they are not the decision maker. They are just the ones that are representing you. And they have represented you with lack of candor. They have represented you with withholding Brady. They have represented you with ex partes. So when do you weigh in and say, pull the plug? Enough resources have been wasted here. There's not enough. Your star witness didn't perform. He didn't perform. He didn't perform then, and he didn't perform now. The same information that he gave 10 years ago is the same information he's giving today. And it wasn't enough 10 years ago. And guess what? What are we hearing today? We believe, I think. It's time to do some soul searching on why you're in that seat. It's time to do some proving to the community on why you deserve that seat in November. To sit there again. Because you know that your opponent has a lot of backing. And if she's born there, raised there, and still there, I think that certifies her enough to speak for there. Don't let it get lost in translation. If you're a good person, show it. If you mean well, show it. If you're for fair treatment, prove it. Because the records has shown otherwise. You have one that's already getting ready, that's going to be eligible for parole, that just got in. You could have worked with all these men on these cold cases and put them into the community and fight the young gangs that are out here right now to help assist and get them on a different path. If they haven't been back before you in 10 years, that right there shows you something. The power is yours for right now. You have an opportunity to clean it up, but it's a very small window. The funds can get situated once you learn how to allocate them and request them and what you have to get more. If nobody's taught you that, I can lay it out for you. But you have to do right by everybody. Can't have personal vendettas. You can't make personal promises because you don't know what is there and what is not there. And you can't blame anyone. This was your decision. This was your decision. These men, at minimum, deserved a bond just like the others did. And they got it. So it's time, people. It's time. You got to reach deep. And you got to make this right. You got to make it right. You cannot have the people trusting you when they're seeing two completely opposite sides. And you can't have the people trusting you if another courtroom is airing out your bedroom. And you can't have the people trusting you if the money is not accounted for. You cannot have the people trusting you if you have a chief that can't even give candor to the judicial court system that she has taken oath to serve and uphold and protect. It's on you. But the best thing I can tell you is make the decision before the hierarchy makes it for you. You can't pull the plug then. And that is all I have for today, people. We will be back on. We will set a time and the material that we'll be covering on our next one. But to all, we respect you guys. Thank you guys for coming. And thank you guys for allowing us to give you both sides and show you guys what is already displayed and give you guys the reports to be able to see for yourself to make your informed decision. We're not here to persuade you. We're here to educate you so that way you can make an informed decision and you know where your money is going to. So we thank you. As always, we send much love, and always we mean well, and we just fight for everything that others do not know about as of yet. And once you see, when we do it together, you will see you are the boss. I hope everybody has a fantastic day. It is beautiful out, and I plan to go enjoy it. And I hope you guys do the exact same. We probably will come on this evening and go ahead and talk about what we had seen in the trial for the week and the differences of the other trial. I am doing some clips, and I would like you guys to see them side by side. So as you guys know, we don't just tell you, we show you. And so we hope that you continue to support and always get involved. We thank you. Have a good day, guys.